Skabba-da-boop-bop.
Improv.
We're talking about improv.
Improv town.
It's a town for people who do improv.
They don't live there, but they just visit when they're doing improv.
You can visit for an hour a month if I put out the pockets on time. Okay, I'm recording this, by the way.
Good. That's
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Improv Town. As always, I am your host and ambassador, Clayton Mashad. And in this episode, I talk with Justin Wilder about the importance of being a lifetime learner of improv and why he thinks that even veteran improvisers can improve their game by revisiting the improv basics. You might know Justin from his starring role in the trailer of everybody's favorite Andy Samberg movie, Celeste and Jesse Forever, or from his titular role in the yet unannounced but totally, absolutely, definitely happening Wes Anderson movie, The Omniscient Owl, or maybe you know him as the unsung, uncredited, and off-screen hero of literally every Judd Apatow movie. After all, as you will learn in this awesome interview, not only is Justin Judd's personal improv teacher and guru, but dare I say, his muse. Justin teaches improv at the Providence Improv Guild, as well as at Rhode Island's newest improv comedy theater, Wage House in Pawtucket. He's a longtime member of Up in the Attic, which is performed at the Del Close Marathon, and he's also a member of Jackpot, with an exclamation point, the Providence Improv Guild's newest Saturday night host team. They're fantastic, and obviously you can check them out every Saturday night at the aforementioned Providence Improv Guild. See improvpig.com for more details. I had a ton of fun doing this interview, as I'm sure you'll be able to tell. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, you want to introduce yourself to the improv audience?
Sure. My name is Justin Wilder. Anything? What goes in an introduction?
How/why you got into improv? You know, all the television shows you've been on, the movies, the Judd Apatow films that you made.
Sure. All right. So the how and why of improv. I was doing stand-up at the time. I had been doing stand-up for a little over a year. I'd been studying it for like 3 years before that, meticulously, just watching comedy, to the point of nausea. Like anytime you were talking about anything, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, there's this stand-up comic that has this joke about."
That's exactly how I am with improv, and I feel like my girlfriend has to hate it.
Yeah.
She'll be talking about, she's in her PhD in English, and she'll be talking about something. I'm like, that's just like a Harold.
Yeah. Anything can relate back to comedy, and people are upset when you make those connections. But I was doing stand-up for a while, and I wanted to get better at riffing, just kind of coming up with material on the spot, playing off of audience members, generating new material. And I took a class at Trinity Rep. This was about 6 years ago.
Yeah, they're improv class, or
it was like an intro to improv class. Pig wasn't a thing at the time.
Yeah.
This was before Pig, and it wasn't really. Morrow Hampman taught it, so Morrow with Improv Jones. There wasn't much improv it was all improv, but that was the only class that Trinity had. There was no other classes to it. Which was kind of sad, because after the end, everyone was like, well, what do we do now? How do we keep going?
Yeah.
So I just took the class again. I took it again the next year, and Morrow didn't teach it because he had moved. Katie Lehman taught it. She's from Improv Boston. And that class stuck together, and we hired her as a coach and formed a team out of it.
Cool. What team is that?
That was part of a balanced breakfast. Still probably my favorite team name of the teams I've been on. Part of a balanced breakfast. I was hyped on that name. I wanted to make everybody picked out their breakfast food, and each one of us was a part of a balanced breakfast. But it was not healthy things or ironic things that were part of your breakfast. I wanted to make jerseys with our names on the back. I was not. I was overly into it. There were a couple other people that were on board. Greg Caloriso, who married to Casey at Wage House, and Brian Elliott. Actually, he was also on the team.
What breakfast were you?
I was bacon. I was Canadian bacon.
Canadian bacon. That's an important differential.
Yeah.
Was there anyone who was just like whiskey?
Whiskey? Oh, see, that's a flavor we needed in that breakfast.
That's what you were missing.
Yeah, that's the glue that keeps it together. Whiskey. That's what takes this breakfast from just balanced to
well balanced.
Well balanced. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were only balanced, not well balanced.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And then, so like you were saying, there was no pig back then. So where did you guys perform?
So pig actually. So there was no pig the first time I took the class. The second time I took the class.
Oh yeah, because it's been 5 years.
Yeah. So the second time I took the class, I believe, pig had started by then because I actually went. I was telling the story the other day. I went to the first audition for pig. I had done one improv class. I was like, yeah, I could try this out. I was like a half an hour late. I couldn't find the place. I was frantic, trying to. I ran up the thing, and I only knew really short form games. I didn't really know like too much like scene work or long form. And they already did the short form audition, and I was just like, well, I remember talking to Melissa Bowler, and I was like, oh, all right, well, maybe next time. And I was sad, but I still came. I came to shows, and I signed up for the class at Trinity again. And then, what was the question? What did we do for shows?
Yeah. So then I guess you guys performed at Pig?
So we performed. So one of the team members worked at City Hall, and we would practice at just a random room in City Hall at night on a Tuesdays. And so we actually had a show in a chamber at City Hall one night. We were just like, yeah, we're gonna invite a bunch of people, set up some chairs, and do some improv in this giant ceilinged, beautiful City Hall's chamber. And it was pretty cool. It was fun.
Gilded cupolas, is that the word?
Yeah. Like copper plating on the sides. And then we did perform a couple times at Pig. We would come to Pig. There was a jam night one time that everybody came to. And so Pig used to do jam nights where instead of a team performing, it was whoever signed up for that would get divided into a couple of teams.
Like a whole jam night?
Yeah, so the whole night was just... That night that I went, it was 3 teams. There were 6 of us. We got split up, 2 people on each team. I think they did that intentionally. They were kind of... They broke up people that play with each other to try and, like, kind of a mixer, you know?
Yeah.
Improv mixer.
Well-balanced mixer.
Right. Yeah, with some whiskey.
Yeah, you definitely need
you
whiskey.
Need it. So I remember I loved it. I thought that was cool. Just playing with people that I never played with before, but some of the other people were thrown off by it and just didn't know how to yes and. I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say didn't know how to what yes and.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I remember we had a show here, and John Murphy had said. John Murphy was the education director at the time, and one of the founding people of Pig. And he had said, "You guys, you don't have to take level 1 here. Like, you can just go to level 2. Like you've had background experience. Like we've been playing for about a year at the time." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That's awesome." And so we had our show at Pig, and that went really well. And I was like riding this improv high. I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna take level 2. Part of Balanced Breakfast is doing things. We're gonna get jerseys.
You're gonna get jerseys.
Canadian bacon. Like,
we're gonna hand out Canadian bacon to the audience.
Oh my god, hot bacon at an improv show? Who wouldn't go to that? $5? Who wouldn't go to that?
They did that at a improv at a no, not Jones. Empire Review.
Yeah.
When I was handing out bacon, I'm sold.
Yeah. But then, like, all of a sudden, like, 4 out of the 7 people on the team were like, I don't want to do improv anymore. Just crushed.
Then you weren't a balanced breakfast anymore.
It's unbalanced. It's just a lot of protein. It's just a lot of greasy protein. And whiskey.
It was just like bacon, sausage, and whiskey. Yeah. That's all you have for breakfast.
That's a Ron Swanson breakfast. Oh, man. If Nick Offerman listens to this.
He does.
Oh, yeah.
He sent me an email.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's
He
good.
really liked your work on all those Judd Apatow movies. So he said, when is Justin Wilder going to be on the podcast?
You know, I've been in an Andy Samberg movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't,
You didn't give me this on your credentials.
I didn't fill out credentials.
It's because I didn't think you had done anything important.
Oh, well, you know. It was just an extra role. It was kind of in the background of a couple scenes. I'm in the trailer, though, and you can see. I remember this girl I was dating. We weren't dating at the time, but she...
But you definitely were dating after she saw that trailer.
Yeah. She saw that trailer, and she's like, what's up?
Because, I mean, after that trailer, she doesn't know you're an extra. You're like, you can see my face in the trailer.
Yeah. You don't know how deep my plot line goes.
Yeah. They really liked me as an extra, so they wrote me a whole backstory.
They were like, wow, this guy really knows how to hold a fake conversation and just mouth in the background.
You can't even tell he's just mouthing the alphabet.
And look at that green tie. That is the greenest tie I've ever seen.
So you should... I want to just hear this story about where you showed this girl the trailer, and then you...
Oh, I didn't show it to her. So she moved. So we dated in college, and she moved to California to pursue acting. And she saw the trailer, and this film was shot in Rhode Island. She sent me a text message. She was like, I saw your dumb head dancing in the trailer of the Celeste and Jesse Forever movie. And I was like, I could tell, like, she's pissed about this because I'm in a movie trailer.
And she moved out to California.
Exactly. So...
Good luck, asshole.
Yeah. And immediately I wasn't like, oh, I was like, oh, I gotta see this trailer now. I mean,
what movie was it?
Celeste and Jesse Forever.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. There's a couple moments, you know, when I'm in it.
Yeah. There's like about 10 good seconds in the entire movie where I'm like at table 27 in the background having a conversation.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
It's a wedding scene. I'm in. It's crazy. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so then fucking 4 steps until your balanced breakfast then you're not a pyramid anymore.
Yeah. So then I was like, no, screw it. I'm still gonna take level 2. I'm still gonna keep on and do what I'm doing. And I did. Everybody else stopped except for Brian Elliott. We took level 2 together here, and then Greg started taking classes here as well. He's just not with us. So Brian and I took level 2 together with Kate Teichman and Andy Mandillo. And,
sweet.
And then the rest is just sweet history.
The rest is, then I took level 3. I took level 4.
Actually, no, I took a long time in between level 2 and level 3. A full year at least. Because my level 2 class we formed a team out of.
Oh.
Unusual Suspects.
Oh, Unusual Suspects.
Yeah, and we did an interview.
You were in that movie, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
You were an extra.
I was an extra, yeah.
You were one of the jurors.
I was in the trailer, though.
That would be awesome, though, if you were just in the juror. If you were in the extra. If you were in the trailer of Usual Suspects. Yeah, so then you guys started that team, and then you were like, I don't need classes anymore, I've already made it.
Yeah, right. So you can't teach me anything. I have a team. Like, this is my vehicle. That's the only reason I took the class was... All right,
yeah. You wouldn't tell someone who was in an Andy Samberg trailer to take acting lessons.
Right. What are you going to... You want a TA? Is that you want to give me a job? Is that what you're saying? You want me to...
You're saying you want me to be the artistic director of the Providence Improv Guild?
I'll consider it, but I've got a busy schedule. I got 7 Judd Apatow movies coming out next year.
Yeah.
I haven't been in any Judd Apatow movies yet, but if he's listening, as I know he does as well, I'm into it.
Him and Ron.
Yeah.
Well, not
Nick. He likes to be called Ron.
Yeah, he likes it.
It's basically Nick Offerman. If you've read his book and then watched the show,
we've been intimate a few times, and I'll be like, and I'll be like, oh, Nick, and he'll be like, call me Ron.
Call me Ron. Yeah.
That's kind of his like catchphrase when it comes to our relationship. It's call me Ron.
Yeah. Stop being so formal.
Sometimes he has me call him Ronnie.
Oh, that's not even in the canon. That's like outside Parks and Rec script. I feel like I don't think that.
Canon busted on Improv Town.
There it goes. Eat that, Michael Shore.
We have a new theme song now. To our scat theme song at the beginning.
Improv
Town.
Going to Improv Town.
Going to the improv town, gonna do me a lot of improv.
Won't you take me to Improv Town?
Pour some improv on me.
And you need to yes and.
So then you got too big for your britches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, we had a coach, Tim Thibodeau was our coach.
Nice.
For a while, and then Jake Goldman would occasionally coach us. Annika Goldman, his wife, was on the team, and then Alan Souza was a coach for a little while. And then I started taking level 3 at the same time because I figured I wanted to get some more. We added a couple of new people that didn't really have much improv background. They were just fun friends that we thought we could hang out with, which was a dumb idea. Don't do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would never even occur to me to just be like, hey guys, I know this person. They've never taken improv, but they're hilarious.
Yeah.
Let's put them on the team.
It happens, and it shouldn't.
Well, it happens when you haven't taken level 3 yet.
Right. Yeah, and then you learn. You grow.
Then you become a snob.
A purist.
And then you're like
an intellectual.
And then you're like, you don't have your bachelor's degree in improv.
Oh. Where did you study? The internet. Yes, of course I read Truth and Comedy.
Sharna is my godmother.
So I started taking level 3, and then the entire level 3 class moved to level 4 together and added a couple other people. And then as in between level 3 and level 4, most of level 3 decided to form Up in the Attic, which I'm still on now. And Unusual Suspects kind of stopped, and Up in the Attic started, and then we were doing level 4, and then...
Yeah, and then you guys are still together.
Yeah.
You guys, like, perform at Del Close Marathon and shit, right?
Yeah, that was... Up in the Attic was the only team that would... No, I don't want to say that. So, Up in the Attic was the team that would take it to the next level, I felt. Like, the other two were into playing, like they enjoyed improv, but I had goals on like what I wanted to do. I saw the Providence Improv Festival around when I was first starting out, and I was like, this is cool. I want to play in this, right? And Up in the Attic was the only team I could see like actually wanting to work at that and apply and be in a festival, and we got it. There was a contest at Pig. There was a last slot in the festival. It was like our first show, I think. Actually,
for PIF?
Yeah, to the last slot to get into the Providence Improv Festival. And I think there were 4 or 5 teams. A bunch of Battle for Your Bacon duos and trios, and then us. And then we won, which was cool.
And then you guys get to perform there.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, we opened the festival. We were the
sweet. We opened the festival last year. Infection waiting to happen, I think.
Festival opening, brothers.
Yeah!
Yeah, it's a thing now.
We're gonna be in the next Judd Apatow movie together.
Oh my god!
We'll be sitting at the same table at a wedding.
2 brothers opening a festival.
I don't know why I think that's
Judd.
It sounds like we're actually starting a festival. We're opening a festival. No, we're just opening.
It's gonna have a lot of disappointment. Not because it'll be bad. It's just the wrong audience will go.
They're not actually related. They're not actually starting a festival. They're just the opening act on separate years.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's separate years.
Also, opening the festival isn't even there are better spots.
Yeah.
Than opening the festival.
For sure.
Sweet. So you guys are still together.
Mm-hmm.
Then now you're on the new Pig Saturday Night House team.
Jackpot. Whoa. Yeah, that's fun.
Whoa.
That's my first. Well, no, that's not true. That's my first weekly team.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's my first house team, but I was on Real Mature and Starbucks, which are both house teams.
Yeah.
Farm teams.
Yeah.
We did air quotes.
Yeah, for the listening audience, we waggled our fingers.
Are there Are there another audience? Is there another audience
For the
for the sensory imagining audience? They saw the air quotes. They knew they were there.
For the reading audience.
Yeah.
You knew that we put air quotes.
We wrote the quotes. They weren't air quotes. They're just quotation marks.
So now you're...
Jackpot.
Now you're the big dog.
Yeah.
Big dog.
Well, it's still that was interesting. So we had our first show on Saturday. That was the first time I had done a Herald since level 4.
Since level 4?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had one practice where we ran the show.
So that's like 4 years.
3 years ago, yeah. 3 or 4 years ago. I don't even... Man.
You haven't done a Herald in 3 years?
I mean, like, I've done forms that are loosely
similar.
inspired by the Herald, and that practice the same
everything
elements.
is
Right,
everything is like super tied in.
Right.
But to actually have to be like, oh, we just did the group game.
Yeah.
Now, what was the game or the character or the relationship of that first beat?
Right.
I have to do exactly
nothing like that.
You can't do the second.
Nope. Yeah. Up in the attic form, the heater is kind of heraldy. It has recurring scene threads.
Right, multiple beats of multiple scenes.
Yeah, but it's not as stringent to the Herald format.
Right.
It's just more, we get to do whatever we want.
Yeah, after I took level 4, so we had like our 2 graduation shows way back when. And I remember I was like, oh, I'm so good at the Herald. Or like, not even so good. Because the Herald can be such a confusing thing in terms of like being good at it. Like I mentioned this in one of the I think when I interviewed Kate and Casey, but Alyssa and I did a 2-person Herald recently, and it's just like it can get confusing between like doing a really good Herald in the sense of doing a really good job following the form, and so you can like think like, oh man, we did such a good Herald, even if it's not remotely funny at all, and you can do a hilarious Herald, but then be like mad of like, oh, we never tied that last beat together. Yeah. And so it's just it's such a confusing form to even talk about of like, I was like to say I was so good at Heralds after level 4. I don't mean like I was blowing the audience's mind. I just mean like I had it so set.
I remembered the formula.
Right. It was just like during the first scene, I would think about how do I describe the game of the scene in a single line, and then I would like put that in my back pocket, and then when it came again, it'd be like, okay. It's more like being able to do the mental inventory, by which I mean I was good at it. Not And then in Real Mature, we did the Herald, and when we first started doing it, I just remember being like, oh man, I'm so excited to do the Herald again. And then we would do them, and I'd be like, shit, I'm so much worse. Like, I've lost all of the training of just like... Yeah, but you guys did a great Herald.
It was a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun. That was...
Oh, actually, what I thought was super interesting about your Herald that I think is a super cool thing that you never see happen. So what ended up happening on yours was your final scene was the group scene, and what you ended up doing was having everybody in the group game scene ended up becoming. You realized that each one of those had been the characters from the earlier beats. Whereas like normally when you're taught the Herald, you're taught it
not to narratively like not to force plot or narrative or like to
but that's not even what I was thinking. But normally I was thinking like you're taught that the group scene is like a palate cleanser, and that it's not necessarily like they're not supposed to be tied into other things, or they're not even necessarily supposed to be like the same thing. But the idea of just doing the group scene as the final scene, but realizing that everyone in the group scene are the characters from the 3 beats, just seemed like even more of like an ingenious way to reconcile all the beats. So I was like, I don't know, it was just super cool because normally there's never a third group scene.
And now I want to watch the video. Because I wonder if that was the 3rd or the 4th scene, or kind of like what the ordering was of that. Because I know it was intended to be a scene that just it became a group scene, and people started to add in as it developed, and that was the high school, right? Like in the juvenile.
Yeah, it was like it was a yearbook. Yearbook type style scene.
Right.
Yeah, because you guys did 3 group scene, and then it was like 1 scene for that 3rd beat. and then the next scene became the group scene. And I think someone still came on and initiated it as the group scene. It was cool to see, cool way to think about ending the Herald, of like going to the group scene and then using that as a way to tie them all together, as opposed to.
So to your point of group scene is supposed to be the palate cleanser, right? Right. So in before our first group scene, that was completely separate from those first three scenes in that first beat, right? So I think the first group scene was us taking taking photos for marketing materials for a criminal high school, and I think we followed that with each. Our group scene actually had its own like game.
Right, yeah, it had beats.
Yeah, and then so it became almost this fourth thread that then combined into the last.
Right, yeah. Whereas then in like the final scene, I guess you really kind of combined the four as opposed to just combining the three.
Right.
Like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is.
It was all
sweet.
intentional. I mean, we talked about it beforehand. I know you're not supposed to do that, but we talked about it.
We're actually doing an advanced Herald.
Yeah.
Instead of like 3 and 3, we're going like 4 and 4 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've never heard of this?
Yeah.
Great.
3. Anyone can count to 3.
Anybody's done that. Del Close? Who's that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sweet. And now you're teaching all over the place, right?
Everywhere. All the places.
Judd Apatow, improv school.
I just go to his house. I teach him.
You've actually been teaching him.
I teach him improv. Yeah.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't tell you that. He's gonna get mad.
Which is ironic because I'm pretty sure his wife is anyway, it doesn't matter. The heir to improv legacy. Oh. So it's interesting that he stepped over her to pick you to come and teach him. Yeah,
I have good rates.
You have good. What's she gonna charge him?
Sex. I don't know.
I don't think you're gonna get a part of the movie now that you're slandering as well. Basically saying that his wife's a prostitute.
It's not, It's just.
Or no. I guess you're saying he was a prostitute because.
Now I've got blackmail on him.
She's
You give me a part in this movie, Judd. The story's coming out.
Or the story about you and your wife having sex.
Improv Town!
I just saw the thing spike. Improv Town! Alright, yeah, so you're teaching.
I've been teaching for like 2.5 years now.
Nice.
And I teach at Pig and Wage House. And I have also been teaching workshops as well elsewhere.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. As a teacher, you kind of get to see, especially in level 1. So I've been teaching level 1 everywhere, or kind of like variations of the basics and intro to improv, and kind of new people approaching improv through various lenses. Wage House and Pig have different curriculums. They have different games. It's entirely like having gone through both. They're night and day.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't taken any classes there.
Yeah. No, I haven't taken any classes, but I've taught a level 1 there. And I've taught level 1 at Pig for a couple of years. Yeah.
Sweet. All right, so let's talk about those basics, because I know that's your big thing.
Yeah. So when you think of the basics, what do you think of? Like what
do I think of?
Yeah.
Agreement. So like listening and yes and being in the moment.
Just flip the script. I made the podcast.
I know, dude. You just told. Why am I doing your job?
It's all about the basics.
What have you been reading? How to Win Friends and Influence People?
You know so much about what media I'm consuming right now, Clay.
Are you? Or you?
No, I don't know.
I've always wondered if that would be helpful to read.
Yeah,
I haven't read it.
I don't know. I like whenever I'm about to, and it's the teacher in me. Whenever I'm about to answer a question, I like to ask the question to someone else beforehand, because like I know my answer, right? You're not going to tell me my answer usually. Unless you do, and I'll be surprised. Yes and was on my list. You said agreement. Sure, yeah. I would consider that as one of the basics.
No, You're totally wrong.
Yes and? That's like level 2. You'll get there.
The basics, Harold.
Harold. Start them from the top. Count them down.
4.
3, 2.
Because now it's
intro.
Now it starts at 4.
Yeah.
Thanks to you guys.
You're welcome.
All right. So okay. So I listed the basics. So they're out there. We don't need to hear your answer.
All right. Good. So done.
All right. Signing off. Thanks for coming. Thanks for checking in.
Yeah. So my list of the basics include yes and, object work, and base reality. So like when I think of the basics, like those are in my mind.
What about listening?
That's advanced basics. I mean, like wait, I wouldn't say advanced basics. I would say listening. So if you all right,
I thought this whole podcast was going to be about listening.
Yeah, you got to. You're not actually listening, Clay.
You're right. Nor am I yes-anding.
Yeah, because to yes and you have to listen. To know what the base reality is, you have to listen. To build object work, Clay, you got to listen with your eyes.
Wait, listening is more than just with your ears, Justin?
It's so much more. It's what you can do with every part of yourself.
Tell me more.
Well, you see.
Okay, let's go back to...
Yeah. So, yes and, object work, base reality.
I think that was a good lesson, though. How listening is an integral part of all 3 of those.
Mm-hmm. I would agree, and so like, there are totally listening, character work, being in the moment, kind of status. There are more that you can add to that list. But when I think of what do I need to tell you to get you to do an improv scene, yes and, base reality, object work.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and the reason why I think that the basics and revisiting the basics is so important is because those 3 are a part of every scene that you do, right? So they're always going to have...
I'm just saying I've done lots of scenes without any object work.
Yeah, they were shitty scenes. Like,
yes.
I've
seen them.
I've seen
your talking head scenes. They're shit.
Yeah, you think just because it's sitting in a chair, it's not a talking head scene? You're not even doing plate work on a table. What? Grab a cup, damn it!
It's true.
No, I'm just kidding.
Just kidding too. I've never done a talking head scene.
Yeah, neither have I.
Yeah, we've never happened.
Why would it? That's too basic.
It's too basic. We're too advanced.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like next level Harold.
Yeah. Level 5. Ooh. Yeah. So yes and, object work, base reality, that it's a part of every scene that you do no matter what level you're doing, right? So you're always hearing, agreeing, and adding to. You're always interacting with the imaginary world, and hopefully you're always finding that base reality, and if you're not, that's probably why your improv scene felt weird. It's because you didn't know who you were to each other or where you were or what you were doing, and you just kind of... Nobody stepped up and said a thing, made a statement, It's like, pick it up, You pick it up.
But I don't want to touch it.
You gotta. You knocked it over. No, we know too much now.
Sounds like a horrible scene.
Yeah, right? Because we don't know who we are. We don't know what it was. We don't know where. We don't have anything. We just have a thing that we're focused on that's not ourselves, and we're probably not even doing any object work because it is on the floor, and we're
standing looking at the floor.
On either side of it, connecting with this imaginary thing on the floor instead of each other.
Sweet. So do you want to talk about each one like individually, or now that you've laid those out?
Yep.
I know you want to talk about like listening, being present in the moment.
Yeah. I got something. So when I was thinking about this, I was like, so we have these 3 things and I would throw listening on there. Yeah. So if you want to have 4 things, we'll do an advanced Harold.
4
things. So if you have yes and object work-based reality, and you add listening as the fourth. The thing that I was going to say, wanted to talk about is like when and why should you revisit the basics? Like, why should you revisit the basics? And I was thinking about this when I was preparing for this interview. I was thinking about, I revisited the basics as an improviser, as a student. I revisited them as a teacher to then prepare the lessons to teach. And now I have begun to be aware of them as a performer more regularly, like trying to be aware of. Especially, I feel like as a teacher, you gotta practice what you preach. You gotta do, like, I can't tell you about connecting with your scene partner and doing object work at the same time and then just have a talking head scene for 5 minutes where I'm not looking at anybody,
Right. Yeah, you also have to be able to articulate it in a different way.
So you got to know it. You got to know it well enough to explain it. So you got to. So not only what the basics are, but why are they important? How do we approach them? How do we practice them? How do they build off each other? Because it all builds off each other, right? Who, what, and where work together because of yes and, because of object work, because of listening. So when I was a student in improv, when I was taking classes, I took notes after every class, after every show, even as we were getting coached by people like Tim and Katie, even after practices. I'd write down the games that we did, I'd write down how we did them, I'd write down some standout moments. I wanted to know how to do the game again. Like, I wanted to be able to revisit it, to go back to it, to learn from it. And that helped me tremendously when preparing to become a teacher, to look back at all these things that I had done that had shaped me as a student, and
right.
how to then use that either for better or worse to inform myself as a teacher. I was going to become a teacher at the time that I was thinking about taking level 2 again, which was interesting that it happened at the same time. That, like, I was thinking about going back, just running the bases again, and just doing a refresher. I love taking more improv classes. I think that to open yourself up to it all goes with like ego and stuff. With like,
right,
if you think you know everything, you don't know shit. If you think you know everything about improv, you don't know a damn thing.
Right.
Right? If you go in with an open mind and you are able to learn off of someone and play with people and experience something in the moment and feel that'll teach you something. That'll help you grow as a performer, as an improviser. But if you go in with the expert mind of like, I already know this, what are you going to teach me?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to learn anything.
Right.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Just, yeah. It's important to keep an open mind. Keep revisiting the basics. Don't get like don't be so impressed with the fact that you're on a team in level 2 that you like refuse to take level 3 for.
It was a different time in my life, Clay. I've grown. I've reflected. I've changed. I'm a better man.
I've been in Judd Apatow movies.
I've been in Judd Apatow movies. I've taught him things he didn't even know.
I've taken on a Mark Wahlberg accent.
I've taken on a Mark Wahlberg accent.
I don't need improv.
I don't need improv. You ever get stuck in an accent in a show?
Yeah.
Like you do an accent one scene and it's like now that's the only
or
way you can talk.
The worst thing that happens to me is that I can't help but take on the other person's accent.
Yeah.
So if they're like
just their natural accent.
yeah. Like if I just happen to be improvising with a person from the South, I'll just start doing the Southern accent for no reason.
This is a great ad for the diversity scholarship. You talk different?
Y'all talk differently too.
Oh. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's go and let's talk about that idea that you were saying that you listen with more than your ears, because that's mind-blowing to me. I never heard a person say that. I'm now stuck in the accent. I said it and I did it.
There you go. Now that's who you are. That's who you are.
Drop it. So obviously everyone knows the listening isn't just with your ears. But let's like listening, like being present in the moment. I know that you're saying you do like meditation and stuff before.
Yeah.
So you can get your like shock.
You say like a dirty word. I heard you've been doing that meditation.
I heard you've been doing that meditation.
Yeah, you've been baiting. You've been baiting before shows. I can see it in your eyes. Look at me, you baiting.
I can tell by your palms that you've been meditating before the show.
You're sweaty.
Try to get your chakras in line.
That's totally what it is. That's totally what it is. Just get all up in my chakras. So I meditate every day. I've done it for years. I don't say you need to meditate to be an improviser. I don't say that meditation is going to make you better or worse or anything. It helps me kind of clear my thoughts, calm my mind, kind of be in the moment, be present. I do it. I try to do it before shows, every show. Did it before Saturday's show. Try to do it less informally, or more informally, I guess, before practices. And by informally, I mean more just like kind of closing my eyes and just deep breaths in and out. Just trying to like clear your head, all the stuff. That's always been the thing about improv, that no matter what day you had, you can clear it out. You can just leave it at the door and just play here for 3 hours and just escape it and just kind of go back to it. But
yeah, I feel like meditation is my sorry, I said that in reverse. Improv is my meditation in the sense of I don't meditate. I don't have a spiritual life, and so there's no. Without improv, there would be no always being totally present with all of your things. Even when, no matter how much, I'm talking to my boss and he's telling me something really important that I should be really focusing on, I'm still thinking about I gotta go to the grocery store later.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I don't have any milk.
But when you're doing improv,
when I'm doing improv, it's literally just you can only focus on that other person, or sometimes you're obviously doing a scene and you're oh crap, what was the last beat of that scene? But it's still always in that moment.
Yeah. Well, it's so improv and meditation. So meditation is just active focusing, right? So meditation is improv. Improv is meditation. So if you're doing it's having an understanding of what meditation is can help bring you... No, I don't want to say that. Take that away.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say having an understanding of meditation kind of helps you be more in the moment. But I don't... you get tricky trying to sell meditation because then people get...
I feel like you get tricky trying to sell improv.
Yeah, for sure. You got to find your reason for wanting to do it. But to your point of improv is your meditation, I have started to think of improv as my church. And
that's...
There was a photo taken about a year ago, and it was up in the attic, and every show, before the show, we'll huddle up, kind of arms on the shoulders, kind of talking about, kind of hype each other up, do the thing, and someone took a picture of that, and I saw that, and I realized, no other way, no other activity, no other thing do I come together on a weekly basis. Do I share stories and encourage and listen to people and feel good about what I'm doing and feel great about life and everything. And if I could sell improv.
Yeah, even so, Infection, which is my first, longest team, started in our level 3 or whatever. We don't necessarily hang out. We don't really hang out that much outside of practice. We practice once a week and stuff. But still, when it's my birthday or something, it's still and you're just thinking about who do I want to be surrounded by? It's still even though none of us really hang out one-on-one outside of when we practice on improv, they're still the closest.
Yeah.
They're still my closest friends.
Yeah. Right, because they know so much about you.
Right.
They've shared so much with you. You have lifetimes of experience together because you've created all these...
We went through the war together.
Right, yeah. We've been married like 3 times at least.
And divorced twice.
Yeah, and I was a man, a woman, and an owl.
And her child. And
Owls get married, Clay. Don't tell me they don't.
Of course they do. I would never tell you an owl didn't get married. Who am I, a monster?
A monster?
Oh, that reminds me of that Judd Apatow film you were in. Why can't I think it was fucking... That reminds me of that Wes Anderson movie you were in. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, yeah.
A Fantastic Mr. Owl.
Mr. Owl.
That was the voice you used!
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
I thought it was such a good throwback.
There you go. That's the new intro.
Yeah, Wes told me you wrote that line yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so meditation.
Meditation. Yeah, kind of active listening, being in the moment. Because what you were saying, and it connects back to the Herald, and it connects back to active listening and being in the moment. You said, kind of being in that ability to think about the mechanics while being in the scene.
Yeah.
And that level 4 really shifted my thinking on things to be able to, because that mindset to be in the moment but thinking about how the moment places in your life is basically what it is. And,
right.
And to practice that on a weekly basis of like, what are you doing now that's going to benefit your future, right? Or what are you doing now and how are you going to bring it back, or how are you going to play with it? And I thought that was very present and aware, but also reflective and forward thinking, and that mindset of being able to be in the moment but knowing where it could go. Yeah,
the thing that I think people never really articulate or like think, it took me a while to realize about improv.
I just did. Were you not listening, Clay? Come on.
Because I guess I'm pretty sure we were recording this when I said this earlier about how like I was so much better after level 4, because but in a systematizing way, which is just because you're training yourself to put things in your back pocket, so to speak. And the thing I always think about improv, because so in the same way that you were saying when you were doing stand up that you when you said you had been doing stand up for a year but you had been studying it for like 3.5 years. Mm. That was like my same experience with improv, where through the magic of podcasts, I've been like listening to Improv for Humans, and like had the UCB manual, and like had traveled out to LA and like got to UCB and was listening to like Spontanea Nation. And I think that probably started right around when I was. Do you know that podcast?
No.
Well, it's an improv podcast, and I think that started kind of right when I was starting to do improv. And just like was super knew a ton about improv when I first started taking classes. I had already like read the UCB manual like in my level 1, and I was kind of actually like the person that we were talking about that we like shouldn't be, because I didn't even start taking classes here. I started taking classes at a different theater that has a totally different improv philosophy, which is much more theatrical.
Was it the CTC?
Yeah, the CTC, and they're like a much more Johnstonian theater, and so like that's a whole other thing about like thinking that certain improv styles are wrong and right, where they're not. They just have different objectives. Like one is trying to to improvise sketches, right? UCB is trying to improvise sketches. Right. Johnsonian is trying to improvise stories, or it's literally like the UCB book is called Improvised Comedy. The Johnsonian book is called Improv for Storytellers. So, like, to act as if, like...
Oh, I have that book.
To act as if, like, those two books are disagreeing with each other is kind of preposterous, because you're, like, they're teaching you two different skills. That'd be like painting for portrait people and painting for landscape people, and then being like, but you told me two different things in those two different books. It's like, they're teaching you different things. That's even more of a digression. But so in that vein, like, having read the UCB... It'd be like had I read the landscape book and then was taking classes at a portrait theater, and then it was like, but these people told me I'm supposed to do contour lines like this. And so I was like that same way, where it was...
No, but don't you do a back line instead of wings? Aren't you supposed to do a back line?
Exactly. So what was... Oh, but so the point is, like I know is that so much I think of improv is not what you know, it's training yourself till doing those things becomes natural.
Yeah.
Because like yes, you can know that you're supposed to agree, or yes, you can like know that you're supposed to do object work, or know that you're supposed to establish a base reality, or know that the second that you're supposed to put the 3 beats, the beats of the first 3 scenes in your back pocket. Mm-hmm. Like, you can know all those things.
But until you do.
But until you've done them so much that they become second nature that you couldn't, like, not do them. Like, just like doing a layup. Like, you could know you could be a physics genius and know exactly of, like, well, the ball has to move at this angle, at this arc, and hit this part of the backboard. Force. But, like, you're not going to be as good as someone that's just done 1,000 layups.
My layups just swish. They don't hit the back.
Right, because you've done them so many times in all those Judd Apatow movies.
He's done so many basketball movies.
He's done so many basketball movies.
Yeah. But so what you're talking about is that the knowledge of something versus practice of something, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And it's crazy because as you're saying that, I wasn't listening. I was thinking about what I was going to say.
Well, so you weren't listening.
No, it was funny.
Or being present.
It's funny because I was thinking like, oh man, when's he going to finish so I can say my better thing? No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, that's what I think in improv all the time.
Isn't it though? I mean, like, not really, but that as not.
That's what I do in real life, though.
Exactly. That was a joke when I said it, but
because we're improvising.
You said something, and I was like, oh, that makes me think of this. But I wanted to keep that on like a back burner and still actively be listening to what you're saying because you weren't done saying, right? You still had more that you wanted to say about this learning something. Like it's not what you know, it's what you can do, and it relates so much to meditation and to philosophy. There's actually a proverb or something. It's like no amount of study can replace one moment of practice.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm trying to say, man. So you could have just said it in one proverb.
I just want to. I'm not side couching.
You should have been like, "Shut up! Let me proverbicize this."
Find the game. Find the game, Clay. I'm not side coaching your improv podcast.
Earlier, you basically started directing.
I wanted you to finish your point because this is about you. I am interviewing you, aren't I? Yeah, so that idea that, like, I've read a ton of books on meditation. I've read a ton of books on improv. Unless you practice meditation or you practice improv, what do you really know about doing either of those things? If you can tell me, yeah, you cross your legs and you sit there with your eyes closed in the dark, do you really know what it feels like? Or what like the benefits are? Or if you say, yeah, you stand with a stranger that you've never met before and you you sweat a lot and you find the who, the what, and the where, and you list off these things. And to your point of where it becomes second nature, where it becomes to the point where, like, and I still do this, but when it comes to the point where you're not checking things off, you're not like, oh, I should do some object. I should, like, engage in my environment. I should, who are we to each other? Like inside, because I do that. Like, yeah, and it might be the teacher in me where I'm side coaching my own scenes in my head, but you want to flesh that out. But when you stop doing that because you're in the moment and you're just doing layups, you're just shooting free throws, and you know what needs to go where and what are the missing elements, because that's just repetition, the muscle memory.
Right, yeah, you train hard so that when you get on stage you can throw that all away and not have to think about any of that.
Work hard, play hard,
Yeah, it's like doing scales.
Yeah.
You practice on, in music.
Exactly.
You'd be doing scales, but then if you're doing some improvised jazz, you're not like thinking like, oh, I'm going to do a pentatonic scale now, and like
you're just
like
you know the fluidity of movement.
You're just like improv town.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sweet. Was that listening? We were talking about listening. That was just being present, being in the moment.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, it was, and then it was about like having studied.
What were we just talking about?
It was on a tangent. It was about you were talking about you were
rambling.
telling me about your history. You were telling me all the details. I was asking you such good questions. You were talking about having learned and studied before taking class, and that idea of having
and that perfect proverb that you
yeah.
Say it again. Say it one more time.
No amount of study will replace one moment of practice.
Oh.
It even got better just then because, like, I was searching for the words, but it sounded wise and paced. But I just really didn't know.
Yeah, you sounded you reminded me of that owl that you played in that Wes Anderson movie.
Mr. Owl.
Mr. Owl.
Yeah. I don't know why that's funny.
It'd have to be like the wise Mr. Owl, but the omnipotent Mr. Owl. The omnipotent Mr. Owl. That's what it would be if it was a Wes Anderson movie, right?
Well, yeah, but that wasn't his legal name. I mean, that's just what people called him. On his birth certificate, it said Mr. Owl. Mr. Peabody Owl.
Oh, I learned.
It was on the call sheet.
Something Peabody. Get in here. All right, I think we only got it's 6:50. So, what are the top things that you want to talk about in this last 5 to 7 minutes?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we've been talking about it throughout, but I feel like of the basics, if we're going to talk about basics, if I would say like a next step of that would be the basics of form, right? So the Herald, while not a basic, is the basis of most formats, right? I'm on the team that's doing the Herald jackpot. I'm also on a practice team that has yet to perform, but we're practicing the Armando.
Let me on that team. Man.
Another root form of long form, right? So
I want to do the Armando so bad.
And at the core of both of those is monologues, storytelling, listening, and pulling details, and being able to take something and bring it somewhere else. And I'm just really excited about kind of where that's going, to be able to go to the roots of form and really play those in repetition on a weekly basis, and really feel out what else could it be, because I feel like those inspired a lot of the forms that are today. And
yeah, I love the Armando. I mean, yeah, obviously ASCAT, which is that's just an Armando.
Right.
Yeah, let's talk so you want to talk about what you think next level yes-anding is, or how you teach yes-anding, and whether you teach it at a simplified version, because I feel at first you just teach it say yes, agree with what the other person says.
Yeah. When
the real idea behind the yes and is that you're yes-anding
the concept,
the player,
the
player, but you're not necessarily yes-anding the character. If you're
you're not yes-anding the words, you're yes-anding the concept behind it. That they're trying to.
Come on, little bro, stick your finger in that light switch. You're not you don't necessarily just need to be okay, I'll do it. You could be
and I'll love it.
Right.
Because yes and, right?
Yes, and I'll lick my finger first.
Right.
As opposed to, I don't know, Mom said that.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to do this. As opposed to I'm not your little brother, and that's not a light switch.
Right.
Which is the obvious, which is always going to be wrong.
Yeah, so that's not accepting the reality of the scene versus not accepting the reality of the character versus actually accepting the reality of the character and adding to it. So the reality of the character being, if I were your little brother and you just told me to stick my finger in the socket, I wouldn't be excited to do that. I'd be reluctant, but I'd still be aware of the fact that you're telling me to do so. I look up to you, ideally, right? If that's the character.
I know you do.
I aspire to look up to you, ideally. I said ideally, and I couldn't let it go. But you play. So what I'm saying is, you could play with that character relationship of younger brother looking up to an older brother. An older brother saying something, because you would pretend, I don't know, Mom said that, which is not a yes, but it is a yes, right? It doesn't sound like a yes. It's not an actual yes, I will stick my finger in but it's a yes, right. I am your brother. Yes, you did just ask me to do that, and there are dangers associated with that, and mom told me not to, or
Right, because in a lot of like level ones, they'll have you, and I've even taught it, but where you do that exercise where like you could do it in a few ways. But say it's like you could do it at the party planners, where like one person introduces the thing, and then everyone like you do the 3 levels, like no, yes, but yes, and then it's like, well, which one of those was funner? And then obviously it's like designed for it to be like yes and, or you can just do the exercise where you like literally just have people say yes and.
Or you say, so I say.
Yeah, like I mean, there's like a million things that are like to train that idea that like yes and is more exciting and funner than yes but.
Yeah.
Even
but
though
also,
like
it's also more fruitful for progressing the story, like and more agreeing, because a yes but isn't really a yes. Yes, I agree to your concept, but I am arguing the specifics.
well, yeah, so that I don't think that's good.
No.
But what about the yes, I agree to your concept, but I don't think that would be a safe thing for me as the little brother to do. I guess that's where like I don't know. I guess like stepping back, my main question was like when you teach it at a level 1 level, do you just teach it like straight up?
Yeah. When you first are entering, obviously you want to do that like that. You say yes and like you say yes, I will stick my finger in that socket, and it will be the greatest story for my therapist. Right?
And I'm going to turn into a superhero.
Right? Hell yeah, Static Shock. That's how it happened.
Yes, you will turn into a superhero.
Yeah.
And I'll be your butler.
What?
What? That's not what you said.
That's how it happens? That's how you get a butler? I gotta become a superhero before I can get a butler?
Yeah, you didn't know?
I don't want to do laundry, Clay.
Then stick your finger in that light switch, little bro.
Yes, I will do that, and I will become a superhero with a butler.
All right, sweet. Let's call it there.
Yeah.
Because it's 3 of.
Good.
Sweet. You've been listening to Improv Town. If you enjoyed this episode, rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're in the Rhode Island area, don't forget to check out all the great local improv. PIG, the Providence Improv Guild, has shows every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 8. The Contemporary Theater down in Wakefield is currently doing Maestro Improv at 9:30 on Fridays. And the Bit Players do Short Form down in Newport every Friday and Saturday night at the Firehouse Theater, and that's BYOB, so that's always fun. You can also check out Improv Jones, Rhode Island's longest-running improv show, on the first Saturday of every month. That's down at the AS220 Black Box in Providence. Last but not least, there's a new improv theater in town, Wage House, which has shows every Friday night at 8 in Pawtucket. And many of these theaters also offer great improv classes, so don't forget to check those out as well. I'm sure Google can help you find everything you need. See you next time.